Hi everyone, today I'll be going through this mini crochet walkthrough to show you how I made this crochet set consisting of a shirt and fitted skirt with ruffle. I did go ahead and add some buttons and some zippers, but it's completely optional. And as you can see, my button is not permanently sewn on just yet. That's why it looks a little loose. But anywho, this is the process of how I did everything. It's not a detailed tutorial, but just a walkthrough. Alright, so now I'm at the point where I'm going to make the bodice for my top, and I already went ahead and placed stitch markers at very important parts, so I'll explain my process. So I will be working in this direction, and from this section to this first stitch marker, I'm not going to make any increase or decreases here, but as I'm nearing the center from this section to this section, I'm going to increase on this side, and then I'm going to decrease on this side, and I'm going to have no increases or decreases at this section. So to begin my bodice, I'm going to chain a chain that is about 4.5 inches. This is the length from the bottom of my bra cup to about my waistline, but you can also just have your own measurement that you want to follow, then go for it. But I will be using foundation single crochets for the first row of my bodice because I feel like that gives me more of some flexibility, whereas a chain, it's more rigid for me at least. When you're doing this step, it is important to count your stitches because you want it to be symmetrical on the other side when you finish your decreases. So just keep note of how many stitches you make, but I'm going to continue crocheting until I get 4.5 inches, and then I'll start my process of making the bodice. So I have chained 25 stitches at this point, and it is 4.5 inches, not stretched. So you just want to make sure it's not stretched. 25 foundation single crochets yields me 4.5 inches, which is ideal for the measurement that I need. And so, like I said, I am working this way vertically, but I'm working on horizontal rows. So to begin the bodice, I'm going to chain one, and I'm just going to half double crochet in each stitch for the first 9 or 10 rows, depending on how many rows gets me back to this place marker. And I will note that for every half double crochet, I slip stitch into 2 rows of single crochet. So since the bodice is made in half double crochets and the bra cups are made in single crochets, it's important to make sure my rows of my bodice is half the amount of the stitches along the edge of my bra cup, if that makes sense. So if my bra cup edge has about 80 single crochets, I need to have 40 half double crochets rows in total. Okay, so at this point I have finished my 10 rows of normal half double crochets. If you can recall, I had 25 foundation single crochets, which yielded me 24 half double crochets for each row. Now that I have reached the first stitch marker, I'm going to start increasing on this side only to match the curvature of my bra cup. So I'm just going to chain one, and I'm just going to do 2 half double crochets in the first stitch, and I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch following that as normal. And then as I finish this row and I start a new row, I will half double crochet until the end and increase at the end, which is over here. So I'm only going to increase on one side of this panel, and then I'm going to continue half double crocheting in that particular pattern until I reach this stitch marker here. So now I'm going to chain 1, turn my work, and half double crochet normally until the last stitch of this row. We are not going to be increasing on this side ever. And now that I'm at the end of the row here, I'm going to be increasing in the very last stitch. It might be helpful if you place a stitch marker so you make sure you're always placing a half double crochet in the last stitch, but if you can see what's happening here, as I'm increasing, it's curving out and it's following the curve of the bra cup, which I want. So I'm going to continue my increases on this side only. And I'm going to do these increases for 11 rows or so until I reach the middle of the bra cup where they are joined. So I will be back to show you what it looks like after that is done. So at this point, I am at the middle part of the bodice, and so I'm going to now start decreasing until I hit this stitch marker, and then I will just continue my rows without any more increases or decreases. But yeah, so I'll just do that off camera, but I just wanted to show you again. So see how the curvature is matching the curvature of the bra cup? That's what we want. And now I'm just going to start decreasing and then keep my half double crochets, and the amount of half double crochets I have with this last row should be the same here. So again, I started off with 24 half double crochets on this side, and this is 4.5 inches, and now in the middle point I have 6.5 inches, so I increase for 2 inches after I hit this first stitch marker. This is where there's the curvature of the bra cup started. So now I'm just going to continue to decrease again and then keep my stitches normal, and this should be the exact mirror of this side. At this point, as you can see, I have finished the body panel. So now I have my bra cups on the wrong side, and this is the right side because I indicated it with my stitch marker over here. So I have the wrong sides together, and I'm just going to slip stitch across the edge. And earlier I mentioned that because this is half double crochet rows and this is single crochet stitches in the bra cup, for every one half double crochet row I'm going to slip stitch into 2 single crochets. So for every 2 single crochets it's 1 half double crochet, and I'm just going to join in that fashion. But yeah, so again, this is how the body panel looks. It's symmetrical and it fits the curvature pretty nice. You can sew it with a tapestry, but I just prefer to slip stitch, but it's all in your preference. So I'm just going to do that off camera. So off camera, I completed both side panels, and this is one side panel. And what I simply did was I started at the very first row of the bra cup. Then I went down along the bodice, and I didn't do any increases or decreases. So I have about 43 half double crochets here. And then for the length of my side panel, I did about 33 rows of half double crochets, I believe. And what you want to do when you're making your shirt is obviously try it on if you can. If it's for you, if it's not for you, use measurements. So my side panel, along with my bodice, along with the other side panel, gives me about the same length as my waist measurement. And I do plan on adding a zipper to this, so I didn't want to add more rows just yet because I still have to work on the bottom part. So once I work on the bottom part, which is the skirt section, I'll figure out whether I need to add more rows for the zipper or to keep it this way. But that's how I did the side panels. In order to make the straps, I tried on the shirt and I marked where the straps should start and end. And I got a strap length of 13 inches. So in order to form the cap sleeve shape, I did alternating rows of half double crochets and slip stitches. I didn't record a detailed process of making the sleeves because I didn't want this video to be too long, but essentially all I did was start at the top midpoint of the strap and increase each row until there was no more stitches to increase in. I finished both sleeves and I went ahead to try on the shirt once more just to make sure I had enough space for the zipper, which I did. So I went to the cloth store to go scope out what zippers they had, and I found the coil separating zipper and the polyester multi-purpose zipper. For the top, I used the coil separating zipper in the color Dogwood, and for the skirt, I used the polyester multi-purpose zipper in color Dogwood as well. So off camera, I completed the skirt section, and as you can see, I have ruffle detailing, and I also have a zipper that I had added. So this is a 7-inch zipper that I hand sewed, and I also have a closure clasp at the top for extra security. And I also have an elastic cord that I put at the waistband to make it more cinched in the same cord I use for the ruffles. So to do the skirt was pretty simple. I just chained the length that I wanted for the skirt, and this was 20 inches. So just to verify that before the ruffle starts is 20 inches. So from the waistband to before the ruffle starts is 20 inches for me. And so once I had that length, I did half double crochets with a 3.5mm hook all the way down until I was ready to start the waistband. So what I did differently for the waistband is I actually did single crochet stitches. So here there's 14 single crochet stitches, and if I'm not mistaken, there should be 87, I believe, half double crochets, but I could be wrong. But I know for sure that there's 14 single crochets here. So I kept that pattern for all the rows. I didn't do any increases or any decreases, and I kept going until my panel was 8 inches less than my hip circumference. So since my hip circumference is 43 inches, I stopped when the panel was 35 inches. So half of 35 is 17.5. So I don't think you can see in the camera. I'm gonna move it. Yep. So it's 17.5 inches. So that's the front half of the skirt, and the back half of the skirt is obviously also 17.5 inches. So once I was done, I just seamed it with slip stitches up until this point because I allowed the zipper to be here. So I didn't slip stitch over here because if I did, I wouldn't be able to put the zipper there. So I left this part open. Again, this was a 7-inch zipper, but this is completely optional. I just wanted more functionality out of my piece. That's why I added a zipper. So for the ruffles, what I did was, instead of using half double crochets, I went around the circumference of the skirt with double crochets, and for the first row, it was increase in every stitch along the edge of the skirt. And in the second row, it was 1 double crochet in 2 stitches and then an increase. So it would be double crochet, increase all around the row. And for the rest of the rows, it was regular double crochets. And I did about, let me see how many rows I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. About 10 rows of double crochet to get this ruffle, and my ruffle is approximately 4 inches. Again, this is totally customizable. That's just what worked for me, and I ran out of yarn, so I couldn't make it longer even if I wanted to. But this is how I made the skirt. It was pretty simple. And for the ruffle, I also had crocheted an elastic cord for a nice cinched in effect. But yeah, that's how I made the skirt. I'm almost done with the top, but so far I have 3 buttons in place and I sewed them. And then in the back, I went ahead and sewed the separating zipper off camera. And I chose the separating zipper because it allows me to be more functional with the shirt, and I can just easily put it on and put it off instead of having to pull it over my head and risk the shirt stretching out. So I also have a closure at the top, which is very helpful for securing the top. And then lastly, I started adding an elastic cord to the bottom of the shirt just to give it a more bodycon effect, but I realized that the color of the thread is kind of clashing and I don't want it to be visible when wearing it. So I think I'm going to go to the store and change the color of the thread and weave it in again to see if that will make any difference. But overall, I'm very happy with how the shirt and skirt came along. And I know this wasn't a full tutorial, but I hope that you guys could see a little bit into my process of how I make things. I really love how this half double crochet and slip stitch cap sleeve came out. And I hope you guys just love this project. Thank you guys for watching.